Hello, it's me, Mimi. So I've got a great story for you today. So let's put our feet up and get ready. It is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I love this story. So we're going to turn the camera a little bit like this, and we're going to read all about Rudolph. Look at how many reindeer there are there. Wow. Okay, let's see. This one starts out, the story of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is as magical as Christmas itself. Did you know that Rudolph began his career at Montgomery Ward? It's true. Wow. The year was 1939, and Montgomery Ward advertising copywriter Robert L. May was hard at work on a new Christmas idea for children. Then one day he thought to himself, what about a reindeer with a shiny red nose who helps Santa deliver presents on Christmas Eve? It was as simple as that. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was born. Montgomery Ward was just the beginning for Rudolph. From there, he achieved even greater fame. Singer and cowboy movie star Gene Autry immortalized him in a song in 1949. And in 1964, Rudolph starred in his very own television program. Now a Christmas classic and a favorite of children of all ages. Montgomery Ward is proud to bring you Robert May's delightful Christmas poem, here faithfully reproduced with the original illustrations, and we hope you find it as magical as we did over half a century ago. Wow, that's a long time ago. So it's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Illustrated by Denver Gillian. Reprinted with permission in 1939, 1967. So, yeah. Here we are. 'Twas the day before Christmas, and I have to switch sides, so we're going to take one quick second here because it's all on this side. 'Twas the day before Christmas. Ooh, let's see. Okay, 'twas the day before Christmas, and all through the hills the reindeer were playing, enjoying the spills of skating and coasting and climbing the willows, and hopscotch and leapfrog, protected by pillows. Well, every so often they'd stop to call names at one little deer not allowed in their games. Ha ha! Look at Rudolph, his nose is a sight. It's as red as a beet, twice as big, twice as bright. Well, Rudolph just wept. What else could he do? He knew that the things they were saying were true. We're going to adjust the camera here a little bit. We're going to cut Amy out a little bit. We're going to concentrate on the book. And I can't read it that way, so hold on. We're going to try it with the glasses today. That's a weird angle. Okay. Where most reindeers' noses are brownish and tiny, poor Rudolph's was red, very large and quite shiny. In daylight it dazzled, the picture shows that, and at nighttime it glowed like the eyes of a cat. And putting dirt on it just made it look muddy. Oh boy, was he mad when they nicknamed him Ruddy. Although he was lonesome, he always was good, obeying his parents as a good reindeer should. Just like you guys should obey your parents. That's why on this day, Rudolph almost felt playful. He hoped that from Santa, soon driving his sleigh full of presents and candy and dollies and toys for good little animals, good girls and boys, he'd get just as much, and this is what pleased him, as the happier, handsomer reindeer who teased him. So as night and the fog hid the world like a hood, he went to bed hopeful. He knew he'd been good. While way up north on this same foggy night, old Santa was packing his sleigh for its flight. This fog, he complained, will be hard to get through. He shook his round head and his tummy shook too. Without any stars or a moon as our compass, this extra dark night is quite likely to swamp us. To keep from collisions, we'll have to fly slow. To keep our direction, we'll have to fly low. We'll steer by street lamps and houses tonight in order to finish before it gets late. Just think how the boys and the girls' faith would be shaken if we didn't reach 'em before they awaken. Come Dasher, come Dancer, come Prancer and Vixen, come Comet, come Cupid, come Donner and Blitzen. Be quick with your suppers, get hitched in a hurry. You too will find fog a delay and a worry. And Santa was right, as he usually is. The fog was as thick as a soda white's fizz. Just not getting lost needed all Santa's skill, with street signs and numbers more difficult still. He tangled in tops again and again, and barely missed hitting a tri-motored plane. Oh my. He still made good speed with much twisting and turning, as long as the street lamps and house lights were burning. At each house, first noting the people who lived there, he quickly'd select the right presents to give there. By midnight, however, the last light had fled, for even big people have then gone to bed. Because it might wake them, a match was denied him. Oh my, how he wished for just one star to guide him. Though dark streets and houses old Santa fared poorly, he now picked the presents more slowly, less surely. He really was worried, for what would he do if the folks started waking before he was through? The air was still foggy, the night dark and drear. The night dark and drear when Santa arrived at the home of the deer. A ledge that he tripped on while seeking the chimney gave Santa a spill and partially skinned the knee. The room he came down in was blacker than ink. He went for a chair and then found it a sink. The first reindeer bedroom was very dark, was very black. He tripped on the rug and fell flat on his back. So dark that he had to move close to the bed and squint very hard to see at the sleeping deer's head before he could choose the right kind of a toy, a doll for a girl or a train for a boy. But all this took time and filled Santa with gloom while he slowly groped toward the next reindeer's room. The door he just opened when, to his surprise, a dim but quite definite light met his eyes. The lamp wasn't burning. The glow came instead from something that lay at the head of the bed. And there lay, but wait now, what would you suppose? The glowing, you've guessed it, was Rudolph's red nose. So this room was easy. This one little light let Santa pick quickly the gifts that were right. How happy he was till he went out the door. The rest of the house was as black as before. So black that it made every step a dark mystery. And then came the greatest idea. in all history. What do you suppose the idea was? He went back to Rudolph and started to shake him, of course very gently, in order to wake him. And Rudolph could scarcely believe his own eyes. You can just imagine his joy and surprise at seeing who stood there so real and so near, while telling the tale we've already told here. Poor Santa's sad tale of distress and delay, the fog and the darkness and losing the way, the horrible fear that some children might waken before his complete Christmas trip had been taken. Oh my. And you, he told Rudolph, may yet save the day. Your wonderful forehead may yet pave the way. For a wonderful triumph it actually might. Old Santa, you notice, was extra polite to Rudolph regarding his wonderful forehead. To call it a big shiny nose would sound horrid. I need you, said Santa, to help me tonight, to lead all my dear on the rest of our flight. And Rudolph broke out into such a big grin, it almost connected his ears and his chin. A note for his folks he dashed off in a hurry. I've gone to help Santa, he wrote. Do not worry. Said Santa, my sleigh I'll bring down to the lawn. You'd stick it in the chimney, and flash, he was gone. Rudolph pranced out through the door, very gay, and took his proud place at the head of the sleigh. The rest of the night, well, what would you guess? Old Santa's idea was a brilliant success. And brilliant was almost no word for that way that Rudolph directed the deer and the sleigh. In spite of the fog, they flew quickly and low and made such good use of the wonderful glow from Rudolph's forehead at each intersection that not even once did they lose their direction. While as for the houses and streets with no signs on them, they merely flew close so that Rudolph could shine on them. To tell who lived where, at just what to give whom, they'd fly by each window and peek in the room. Old Santa knew always which children were good and minded their parents and ate as they should. So Santa selected the gift that was right, while Rudolph's forehead gave just enough light. It all went so fast that before it was day, the very last present was given away. The very last stocking was filled to the top, just as the sun was preparing to pop. The sun woke the reindeer in Rudolph's hometown. They found the short message that he'd written down. They gathered outside to await his return, and were they excited, astonished to learn that Rudolph, the ugliest deer of them all, Rudolph the red-nosed, bashful and small, the funny-faced fellow they always called names and practically never allowed in their games, was now to be envied by all far and near, for no greater honor can come to a deer than riding with Santa and guiding his sleigh, the number one job on the number one day. The sleigh and its reindeer soon came into view, and Rudolph still led them as downward they flew. Oh boy, was he proud as they came to a landing, right where his handsomer playmates were standing. These bad deer who used to do nothing but tease him would now have done anything only to please him. They felt even sorrier that they had been bad when Santa said, "Rudolph, I never have had a deer quite so brave or so brilliant as you at fighting black fog and guiding me through. But you, last night's journey was actually bossed. Without you, I'm certain we'd all have been lost. I hope you'll continue to keep us from grief on future dark trips as Commander in Chief." But Rudolph just blushed from his head to his toes until his whole fur was as red as his nose. The crowd first applauded, then started to screech, "Hooray, Rudolph! And we want a speech!" But Rudolph was bashful, despite being a hero, and tired. His sleep on the trip totaled 0. So that's why his speech was just brief and not bright. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. And that's why wherever it's foggy and gray, it's Rudolph's red nose who guides Santa's sleigh. Be listening this Christmas, but don't make a peep, 'cause that, 'cause that late at night, children should be asleep. The very first sound that you'll hear on the roof, provided there's fog, will be Rudolph's small hoof. And soon after that, if you're still as a mouse, you may hear a whoosh swish as he flies round the house and gives enough light to give Santa a view of you and your room. And when they're all through, you may hear them call as they drive out of sight, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night." Yeah. Well, that was amazing. So until tomorrow.